Hello my sweet friends, welcome to DIY with Nadia and welcome to Centerpiece Sunday. The first centerpiece we're going to turn into two different wreaths, and this is the second version of the wreath. You will see this wreath in a very simple just bubble method that will also be used as a centerpiece, and then I ended up opening up the bubbles and adding the little sign. The next wreath I'm going to do is this one. It's super cute, super easy. And of course, all the supplies for both of these wreaths were from the Dollar Tree. Let's get started. Friends, as you can see, I have my little troublemaker because he has not been in the latest few videos, but I thought I'd bring him out to say hello to you guys. Say hello, little one. Let's go over the supplies. I'm using an 8-inch wreath forms. They come two for $1.25 at the Dollar Tree. Then, of course, you're going to need some kind of a pipe cleaner or chenille stems. And then, of course, the tubing. That is 12 yards. And our deco mesh is 6 inches by 5 yards. I usually cut my pipe cleaners into 4-inch strips, so I usually fold this in 3. But because of the pipe tubing, it's going to get just a little bit bulkier. So if you have any issues with your hands, be good to yourself. Just cut it in half. And somebody commented on my scissors that they're for cutting hair. Yup, they definitely are. And they're the best scissors I own. I absolutely love them. First, we're going to unroll and layer all 3 of our deco mesh rolls, and make sure you don't unroll them this way. Make sure you are unrolling them under so that you already have your poof. And I just kind of unroll it and let it fall to the bottom of my table. The numbers for the centerpiece and wreath are going to be a little different. I've had a few of you comment to me that making them 8 inches is just a little bit not enough if you don't hold it tight enough. So we are going to go down to 7, and that's going to be just fine because this is a small wreath. The poofs are going to be so saturated and beautiful, and 7 inches is going to be just fine. I have my 3 rolls right here. Now I'm going to take my mesh tubing. I have my mesh tubing. I untangled the whole thing so that we have no problem as we go along around the wreath. And I'm just going to put it between my fingers and then grab my deco mesh right here and bring it together. About halfway in, I'm going to add this so I can just kind of accordion it in the middle and then bring it together all the way. And now it's right in the center right here. And what I'm going to do, just make sure you have all the endings here. Go in a little bit more if you have to, but you want to make sure that you have all the beginnings here because this is what's going to prevent it from fraying. We're going to be attaching all our deco mesh to the center row right here. And we're going to go in between row 1 and 2, counting from the center. And for this, I always use a zip tie because I want to make sure that this is really, really secure. Cut the tail off. So we're going to be using the Dollar Tree little board right here. And I love using this. It's just for bubble wreaths. This is just the best. Starting where my beginning is at 0 right here, we're going to go to 7 and we're going together. Making our first loop right here. Grabbing a pipe cleaner. I like to give it 2 twists and then send the actual pipe cleaner to the back. We're going to give it 2 more twists. Then we're going to fold it in half and just bend it back. Well, Leo had enough of me bumping him, so he went and sat by my feet just now. As far as our measurements, as I said, we are doing 7-inch loops, and we're also doing 7 loops per section. So 7 is our lucky number for this St. Patty's Day wreath or centerpiece. I love it when it doubles and you can use it for either or, whatever you need it for. I'm done with section number 1. I have 7 bubbles here. Here it is in the back. And I'm just going to continue making our loops, just going slowly. And this is, I'm telling you, if you're starting and making wreaths, and I had a few of you ask, you know, what I would recommend to start with. This is the method to start with. I love this because you can make this for parties, for weddings, for church events. All right, wreath makers, look how beautiful this looks. This is 7-inch little bubbles. Look how full this is. This is unreal. And yes, of course, you can use this as a wreath or as a centerpiece. I'm on my last bubble right here. Let me measure out my 7 inches here. Bubble it up. Make sure it's a nice, beautiful bubble. And I'm going to put it between rows 1 and 2 from the center here. So this is where I started. I went all the way around and I'm kind of crisscrossing this at the end. Here is the bar that divides the sections. One of mine is going this way, the other one is going this way, and I'm just going to tuck it back as best I can. It's not going to be shown from the inside anyway. Let's just cut this off. And make sure that if you have a zip tie sticking out, make sure you point it back because this part is usually sharp where you cut it off. There you go. This is all smooth here. I like the way the gold mesh tubing is sparkling here and there. I think what I'm going to do is actually just kind of open up the gold tubing. So if it's on this side, I have some on here. In the center, you can put a leprechaun, you could put a candle holder, you can put whatever you want. Or if you're doing this for some kind of a different event, obviously whatever matches your event. Another way to go for this St. Patrick's Day wreath is to add a little sign, and this is the one with where there's a hat and the little boots, and I'm just going to remove this. I'm going to attach on both ends right here. Same thing, I'm going to fold my pipe cleaner in two, and then with my 2 fingers kind of make this flat space. It's about an inch and a half. Hot glue, put our pipe cleaner right on top, and then more hot glue over it. While these are cooling off, I'm going to go ahead and open up the little bubbles in case you want to see what it's going to look like all opened up. And the way I like to open up the bubbles is, well, very carefully. I am going to start from the bottom and I'm just going to push it down. And that's going to go on the inside, that innermost layer. Because of the mesh tubing, I don't want to mess with the top layer. I'm going to take the second layer and push it down to the outside. There you go, nice and full. And I'm going to continue doing that. The side that's opened up, it's a little bit more softer. This is like the little area that I just opened up, as you can see. And this is the one where the bubbles are just like I brought them together, kind of. And it's much, much softer when you actually open up your bubbles. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the rest of the bubbles, and then I'm just going to attach my sign. Now that our sign is attached, now I'm going to go over the whole wreath and just start working with the gold little mesh tubing to make sure that it's where I want it to be. This wreath is going to be super easy and kind of fun, I think. I'm using a regular foam wreath form from the Dollar Tree, and it's 9.8 inches in diameter, and also a scarf from the Dollar Tree. First thing I'm going to do is I am going to remove this little tag. Sometimes with these scarves you have like the dull side and the bright side. Make sure you're working with bright side up. I'm going to take about, I don't know, 10, 12 inches. Grab it in my hand, and then I'm going to start bringing the scarf around. And the nice thing about this St. Patrick's scarf is it's green, just like our wreath form. And so, let's see here. I do want to make sure I hide that seam. So just curl it in the front and keep on going. Here, try to get it as even as possible with the tails. We're going to cross them. So this is where we started. This is where we ended. Just going to pull it as taut as I can. So it tightens all of this up. And here you can either zip tie it or use a chenille wire. Make sure it's nice and tight and give it a few twists there. Now we're going to bring in some florals, and these I did get from the St. Patrick's Day area. These are little shamrocks, and we have like these gorgeous green hydrangeas. So because the shamrocks pretty much kind of blend in, I purposely got these for the contrast. I'm only going to use one bundle. They come in a set of 6, so make sure when you're buying these to make sure you have all 6 bundles on there, because sometimes they come off at the store. So I always try to make sure that I have them. I'm kind of keeping them long because we can always cut them short, right? So 3 on one side and 3 on the other. One a little higher than the other, just a little bit. Now for the shamrocks, they kind of come where the second set of leaves are at the bottom. Pull them up. You're not going to need many of them. And I'm going to start with 2. 1, 2, 3, shamrock on top. See how that would look on the wreath form itself. I think that looks pretty. Grab a zip tie or a floral wire, whatever you have on hand. I trust these zip ties, so I know it's going to stay in place. And as always, the supplies that I use are going to be in the description box, and the zip ties are going to be under my daily supplies because I have these on hand at all times. And for this wreath, I decided to use the hat. So we're going to give it a few twists with the wire and fold it back. After the pipe cleaner is all attached, I'm just going to put it right in the center and tie it off in the back and just see if I need to straighten anything out.